5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Robin, when I was 15, maybe even 14 years old, living on Long Island in New York, I was a Beatles fan. I think I'm still a Beatles fan, actually. And I was thinking, gosh, I want to learn how to make a record. I want to figure out how to make a record. So I looked in the Yellow Pages, which is where you went for all your information. That was the Google of the day.
Yeah.
Went to I look up records, how do you make records or something like that, right? And I found a recording studio. I had no clue what any of this was. And anyway, so we called up and they said, well, here's the best thing we can do. We can send you a rate card and you'll know how much it costs to record here. Mm-hmm. Cool. So in the mail, the real mail, but who knows how long it took, but I got this thing from the studio, and I went to my friends. I said, look at this. We could save up some money. We could, mow a few lawns and then for 1 hour. I think it was $35 an hour. $35. We can get $35. We can go in for 1 hour and make a record. Right?
Wow.
All right. So
cool.
this is what I thought. So I remember we called them up. We tried to reserve some time, like the next day or the weekend coming up or something like that, right? And they said, well, we're all booked up. And, okay. Well, what about the next week? Well, we're all booked up till like November. Oh, man, November. Like this was in the summer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hung up the phone. We were just kids. And I said, okay, they're lying to us. They can tell we're kids. Mm-hmm. We got to pretend we're somebody famous. I bet you they'd have an opening tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm going to call up and pretend I'm George Harrison. Mm-hmm. Right? And I did. I called up and I tried to impersonate George Harrison. Uh-huh. To this day, I can still hear my own voice resonating in my head, sounding nothing like George Harrison, realizing I'm not pulling it off, and I hung up on them. I never called back.
No caller ID back then.
So if you worked at Ultrasonic Recording Studios sometime in the 60s, and you remember this, it was me. Jim Meskimen could have pulled it off, I bet you. He is somebody who can impersonate people. He's on the phone. My goodness, he's got a long list of credentials, Robin. It's always fun.
Yeah.
I believe he's been with us before.
Yep.
He's an impressionist. He's the host of his own Jimpressions, which he'll tell us what that is in just a second. He provides many of the voices in animated TV shows, video games, and movies he's appeared in. Listen to this: Apollo 13, Friends, Seinfeld, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Grinch, Frost Nixon. What is that, a movie, Frost Nixon?
Yes.
The Punisher. He's the senior director in the auto recordings of the stories from the Golden Age. And I guess he doesn't mind me telling you that his mom is actress Marion Ross. Do you know her from the Happy Days?
Yeah, that's
Mrs.
pretty
Cunningham.
cool. Mrs. C.
Mrs. C, right.
Yeah, Mrs. C.
Wow, I wonder what that was like for him as a kid. Or was he a kid then? I don't know. Jim is on the phone right now. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, this is George Harrison. Hello, Larry.
Oh!
Wow. Wow. Hey, I wonder how much we...
No, there's plenty of studio time if you want to get in this afternoon.
How much would it cost to get... How much would we have to pay you to do that, like a whole interview? We'll just do an interview with George. With talking to the beyond.
Well, what you did was this kind of very strategic kind of impressions.
Yeah,
which is a whole other category.
Well, so good morning, Jim. Where are you, first of all? Where are you calling from?
I'm on the lovely 101 freeway heading to Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
Hollywood, California.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for getting up early to do this. It's kind of early over there, right? 8.
Yeah. A little early, and last night I was speaking of George Harrison. I was seeing Elton John at the Staples Center in L.A.
Oh, really?
Wow.
When you say seeing him, you were having dinner with him, or he was putting on a concert?
Yes, it was an intimate affair with him and about 50,000 other people.
Well, how was it? Was it good? How was his voice?
His voice was great, I have to say. His voice is terrific, and I think he's just a sensational performer. I was not crazy about the way his piano was mic'd. I thought it was a little jarring, but when you see someone like Elton John, who's performed for close to 40 years, and we know all those songs, and well, I guess more than about 40 years or more. It's really phenomenal when you're in a room with people that know all the words. We saw Paul McCartney earlier this year, and it was the same thing, only more. You mentioned the Beatles. It's really a sensational experience.
Wow. Well, I had the experience of seeing one George Harrison concert, and I actually saw John Lennon outside of the Dakota. When he was hailing a cab. That was about the extent of it, and so I didn't speak to him or anything. But
Yeah.
so how did this start for you? How did you start to impersonate people? And when you get hired for an acting job, is that why? I mean, do they come to you and say, "Hey, we need somebody who can talk like this"?
These days, yeah, that's mainly what I get. Although I do audition for other shows and stuff just as an actor. And I have my own series called The Impression Guys, which is on YouTube that I star in, which is a story about an impression.
Oh, I gotta see that.
Yeah, but these days, I get a lot of things say, "Hey, can you do this voice? Can you do this voice?" Because there's this whole market for impressionists. It's a kind of a shadow market. It's for movie trailers and other things, and then animation. Of course, they always want sound-alikes, and sometimes you'll do a whole role as another actor, as a sort of a placeholder. It's not the most glamorous sort of position, but they know that they're going to get John C. Reilly, to do some voiceover at some point, but they don't want to bother him now because he's so busy, so they'll get someone like me to do it for him.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow, that was amazing. You just slipped right into it. Do you know when Jim Henson died? Recently, I heard Kermit, I guess, in some new movie, and I said to Robin, "Wow, they got somebody who can really do Jim Henson well," and she said that's his son, which would make sense. Genetically, the vocal cords would be similar, right?
Yeah.
That's how it is with amphibians. Yeah.
But what happened with Barney Rubble? Remember when he got a new voice? They got the wrong guy for him. Remember?
Yeah.
I thought that was just a different take on it. That's one for the cartoon historians. I'm sure you have listening. But, I'm also another aspect of what I do is the audiobook world has just exploded, as you probably know.
Yeah. I love audiobooks.
Yeah, it's one of the few businesses in entertainment that's actually booming, and I don't know how long it'll last, but it's been great to be involved in it. And often, in an audiobook, you're called upon to play a lot of characters, like a Western or something like that, and you want to differentiate between, the sheriff and the bad guy and the father of the girl on the ranch. So, a lot of times these stories are sort of old-fashioned, and so I pick out of my head the kind of sound that a fellow would have in a 1945 movie about Oklahoma. About that fellow.
And the word choices, the word fella.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right, a big fella. Yeah, he's a big fellow, a stocky chap, and I had about 13 head of cattle, and I had the good fortune, as you mentioned, of directing almost 500 hours worth of audio from Galaxy Press, the stories from the Golden Age, westerns, mysteries, all Pulp Fiction stories written by New York Times best-selling author L. Ron Hubbard. And these were so much fun to direct because I got to do them like old radio style, 5, 6 people around microphones, and adding sound effects later, and telling these great old stories.
That must have been fun.
Gosh, oh my gosh, it was so. As a radio guy, I'm sure you'll appreciate how much fun it was because we created these pictures with our voices.
Yeah, that is fun. Yeah, Rob and I did a children's show, years ago on digital cable radio, and it was an hour long, and we had 2 15-minute stories in the course of that hour, and then there was music and other things. But yeah, we tried our best too. But all of our sound effects were electronic, like they were recorded stuff, like cars and stuff.
Well, we did that too for the stories for the Golden Age, and we would if they mentioned a particular kind of a gun, like these Foreign Legion stories, they were always shooting off something called a label. So we would get the recordings of a label, firing.
Wow.
And really, or a certain kind of engine of a motor of an airplane for these air stories, these World War II stories.
Oh, wow.
And to bring them, because we knew people would be listening, and perhaps, they would actually know. And it just made it fun. We had a great crew of people doing it.
Somebody who knew would say...
want to find out about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I was just going to say, somebody who knew the sound of that jet engine would say, hey, wait a minute, that's not... Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like one time, I remember it was funny, we had some pretty young people working on the sound effects team, and one time there was a story about a submarine, and it was great. It was a really grim story. World War II submarine, but this in one of the scenes, a girl, she got her hand kind of cut, and so she went to the nurse, and the nurse put some iodine on the wound, and in the story it said, and the wound burned, and so the sound effects girl, who had no idea what iodine was, put this kind of sizzling bacon sound.
Oh.
Oh no! Oh no!
It made me laugh so hard when I listened. I was like, no, wait a minute. There's lots of definitions of the word burn.
Since you have a duality of talents and you need to try out for whatever character it is that you're just going to be using your voice, or the full character of the man in the acting that you will portray on screen, is it more nerve-wracking for you to do the real person character as opposed to the cartoon character where you sort of have some kind of anonymity?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's seldom nerve-wracking. It's not that difficult, but it is. There's a lot more to take care of. You got to determine how you're going to hold your body and move your hands and work with props, and you have that. The M word, you have to memorize your lines, and that's,
Oh.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one sometimes. When it's complicated or medical, I really have a hard time memorizing it.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Oh, and if they ever make a news story out of these guys in the Middle East, I don't mean a news story. I mean an actual, like a movie.
Uh-huh.
You have to learn the pronunciation of like several consonants in a row. It's like crazy to me.
That's right. Yeah, we're all learning that.
We need to take a little break for the weather, and unless you want to pretend you're the weatherman, you could do that.
Oh, the weather's bad there, is it? The weather's bad? You going to take a break and dry off?
Jim Meskimen is on the phone, and we'll be right back to learn more about what he's doing and what's coming up. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A nice day today. Sunshine mixed with clouds, the high 79 to 83. And partly cloudy skies tonight, lows ranging from 63 to 70 along the coast. Tomorrow, partly sunny and warm with a high of 82 to 86. And on Wednesday, partly sunny, very warm and more humid, high 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Are you tired of not using your home's outdoor space for entertaining or relaxation because of all the bugs and leaves? Consider adding a beautiful screen room or glass enclosure. We are Superior Aluminum and Design, a family-owned and operated business with 20 years experience in the aluminum industry, and we are accredited by the Better Business Bureau. If you appreciate superior workmanship, call Superior Aluminum and Design at 817-8058 or visit us on the web at superiораluminumdesign.com.
I'm Major George Patterson from the Salvation Army. Please stop by our family store at 120 Northwest 10th Street in Ocala, where on Wednesday you have a 50% off clothing and bric-a-brac. On Friday, 25% off furniture and large appliances. And on Saturday, stop by to our yard sale from 8:45 to 11. Donations can be made by calling 352-732-4469 and we'll pick it up. Funds from the store go toward the services that we provide in Marion County.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my
too.
seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new
Yep,
trunk.
we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
All right, thank you for waiting during the break. Jim Meskimen is on the phone out in L.A. driving on, I think he said the 101. Is that what he said it was called?
Yes. The 101.
And he's got a list of credentials, among them being an impressionist, being an actor, and he's worked as a director for the Stories from the Golden Age, the L. Ron Hubbard the audio book version of the books. I wonder what that was like. Jim, thank you for waiting during the break.
Yeah, sure.
What I want to tell you is one of the owners of this station, Joe, for those who listen, hear Joe every day here, he has those skills. He has done radio plays at some company in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he can shift into a lot of different voices too. Mm-hmm. So it must be
a lot of fun. It takes some practice, but I think everybody can do it eventually. It's it's playing really.
And one of your most impressive acting is when you do Shakespeare in different voices with the same character. How do you keep from getting confused?
Well, once again, yeah, it's a practice thing. Thanks for mentioning that. That's a video of mine that went viral. You can still see it on YouTube. It's Shakespeare and Celebrity Voices, where I took a Shakespeare speech from Richard III, and I did it in 24 celebrity voices, just switching from one to the next. It's something I'd done on stage for years, and when I finally put it on video, it went viral. It has almost 1 million views now.
Wow.
Wow. Do you ever get stuck on one? Like a lot of people when they impersonate Stallone or Schwarzenegger, they get stuck. They don't get out of it.
Yeah.
They can't. You're talking about a situation where a person can't extract himself from a personality. That's terrible.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. That is good. We should do the whole interview like that. I should just interview you. I'm going to interview a couple of different people. Let's just play along. I'll just do this for a minute or so, right?
Okay.
So, Mr. Richard Nixon, what's it like living in the year 2014, wherever you are?
I tell you what, Larry, it's not very comfortable.
Oh, you have a funny line too.
I feel completely disembodied.
Can I go female on you? Can I ask you about Joan Rivers? How's Joan? How are you doing?
Can we talk? Listen, what a mistake! Don't go for unnecessary surgery. Whatever you do.
Oh wow! Oh wow! That was so good. Wow! I'm throwing him curves. Everybody, hopefully knows that. I think Fonzie. Hey. Oh! He's from Happy Days. Fonzie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You made me laugh. The great Henry Winkler is a friend of ours, of course. And well, I met Henry when he was about an old man of about 20, and I was a kid of 12 or 13 on the set of Happy Days, and boy, what a phenomenal thing that was.
So you got
People used to just scream at Henry Winkler when he came out, when they introduced the cast on Happy Days. They would just shriek like Elvis.
I remember. I wasn't there, but I remember the Fonzie mania. It was kind of like Elvis or something.
Yeah, exactly. But when I was in high school, I used to do the Fonz all the time. You know, we would watch the show on Tuesday night. Rich, what are you doing, Mr. C? But I haven't watched it in so long, I've sort of forgotten the character. So it was part of my life.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
So let me ask you this: when somebody like Henry Winkler doesn't talk like that at all, so was he actually? Was he actually impersonating somebody who we don't know? Was like somebody he knew in his life?
I think that's true. I think that's true, Larry. That's a really good point. And I've heard a lot of performers that we think we know who they are, like Clint Eastwood, apparently. And we've heard him talk normally too, and he's got a sort of an urbane way of talking, but he doesn't always growl at people. You know, he's got a kind of a laid back Northern California thing. But somebody said, somebody told a story about Clint Eastwood and how he sort of would shift into this guy. He would direct in one voice and then act in another voice, and the person called his attention to it. And he said, and Clint said, "Yeah, that's who I do."
Oh, that's funny.
You have brought your talent to so many different entities, movies, television. I mean, roles like in Seinfeld and in Friends. They must have been as much in awe of you as you were in awe of the stars.
Well, that's very kind, Robin. That's completely opposite from the truth, but it's very kind.
Oh my gosh!
One of the things I should mention is it's the this last week was the 15th anniversary of Jib Jab Media, and I did a lot of voices for Jib Jab, the initial big hits that they had. I did the singing voice of George W. Bush, for example, in the This Land.
Oh wow! Really?
Yeah, I know he comes. The Bushes are real important out there in Florida, isn't that right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah. Wow. I felt like I was talking to him for a second.
Listen up.
So did you ever? So let me ask Jerry Seinfeld a question. When is the new Comedians in Coffee coming out? Whatever that thing is called.
Comedians in cars having coffee. is going on right now because I'm in my car talking to you. So, I don't know.
Wait.
Now, he's got special meaning for you, too, because you're from Long Island, right?
Yes. And in fact, sometimes people will say that I've got some of his whatever isms, and I really don't think I was influenced by him as much as we just grew up in the same place.
Yeah. Well, it's a cultural thing. Long Island is its own country. I know from living in New York City.
When you do projects like Jib Jab, do you get to write your own scripts also?
No, those guys are very specific about what they want. They go through a long process. They're two brothers, so they're like really tight. They kind of share one creative mind at times. And so they get it worked out so much that it's in their head. They've lived with it. They've got it rattling around in their minds. And by the time I come to record something, I have to really make a great case to change a line or even a melody point. It's like, no, they've got it in their head, and they're just trying to get you to record it, what's in their mind.
Wow.
They're great guys, and it's their 15th anniversary, so it's very exciting. I love working with them.
You know, we actually had the privilege or the honor or the pleasure, that's a better word, the pleasure of listening to some of the L. Ron Hubbard audios that you directed. We actually had some here.
Oh, yeah.
And
the Golden Age stories, yeah.
And I'm sure you get this all the time, but I'm just going to repeat it because I have a question based on it. When you listen, you in your mind, you see it. You see it in your mind. And so that would lead one to believe that these would make good films. And I know some of them had been made into films. Or is there anything in the works for films from some of the other books?
I think that's a natural progression. They're really beautifully written. And you know, Hollywood today is sort of... digesting itself a little bit. We just keep going over the same comic books.
Right.
And these wonderfully written stories from the 30s and 40s really are just aching to be done. The westerns are fantastic. The mysteries. And L. Ron Hubbard was a great guy at plot and character and also dialogue. And I really enjoyed the stories very much. I got a lot out of them. When I first started, I thought, well, these will be kind of corny and fun. But they were so much better than what I imagined. They're just sensational. I mean, I like watching a movie in your mind.
Yeah.
Do you think that acting on the stage is a lot better creatively for the actor than acting in a film?
No, it depends on what the story is. But with a film, you can go to locations and you can have some, really dramatic moments and action that you can't really do on stage. We do stage readings of these stories at the L. Ron Hubbard Theater in Hollywood with, wonderful, wonderful performers and celebrities actually presenting these stories. But, when it comes to the action, the audience has to kind of create that in their mind.
Oh, well. Before we run out of time, I want to make sure that our listeners can look you up. If you have any websites you want to tell us about. I went to yours, by the way, while we were speaking, JimMeskimen.com. I went there. So now I know how to find the videos you were talking about before.
Yes, and I'm on YouTube. Got my own channel. I think it's called Jimpressions. I'm on Twitter, Jim Ross Meskimen, and Facebook as well. And also check out on YouTube, there's a channel called Soul Pancake, which is Rainn Wilson's channel, and that's where my series, The Impression Guys, lives.
Okay.
And that's a really fun show. I think your listeners would enjoy.
You are such a wonderful mentor to the people that just want to go into this type of career, because you're very easygoing and you do have your air of professionalism about you, sir. You have to be a professional at all times.
Yes, thank you. I've been putting up little how-to videos on YouTube about how to do impressions. So yeah, I'm trying to share what I know because people really love it, and I would have liked to have that when I was younger.
Well, it's an honor to have you on the show, Jim. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak to us. Go to his website, JimMeskimen.com. Robin made it easy by putting it on the website on our guest list. So go there. And then GoldenAgeTheater.com. Don't forget that one, as well as GoldenAgeStories.com. Jim, thank you for being on with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you again.
Thank you, George. George Harrison. All right, we'll be right back.
The Supreme Court has rejected appeals from 5 states whose gay marriage bans were declared unconstitutional.
This ruling by the Supreme Court to turn away appeals would leave those lower court opinions in place. So it appears right now the U.S. Supreme Court will not step in.